What's going on, guys? Super Deathbot back here for the third review of this Marvel Legends wave, and here we have Nova. Um, he's a really cool figure. I like that we're getting different size bodies and heroes and stuff like that to kind of work with as far as photography goes, making some of the bigger characters look more menacing versus this, and just having accurate comic size heights and bodies and things like that. So he is pretty short. He's a good head and a half under Star-Lord, so I would say he's probably, well, maybe not that short. A good head under, so he's probably about 5 inches tall. But it's really cool that they did it. I loved reading the comic, the first arc. I have not been keeping up with it, but what I did read for about the first year I loved, so I figured I had to pick this guy up. And I know he's also in some shows and stuff like that, so I'm sure they made him for that reason as well. They made two Spider-Men earlier waves too, Peter Parker and a Miles Morales, that also have a smaller body, and I think it works really well for some of these characters. Starting with his paint, it's not terrible. I do have some blemishes on the chest there, as you can see the dot, another one on the right, a few black marks around. So, I mean, for such a simple figure, the paint's not anything to write home about or miraculous. The color's a little different from the boot to the leg, which it usually is because they just paint over a darker color. You can tell his shoulder pads, shoulders are a different color than all the gold paint on his body, which is something that always bothers me, but in the right lighting and stuff like that, you can't really tell. So if you're doing it for photography, it's not really going to bother you. If you're doing it to just collect the figures, then, it might bother you, but in particular, I think it would bother you less. But you can see the difference, especially there, with the gold just painted over a darker color and the shoulders casted in that kind of translucent plastic that they do, which I am not a huge fan of. The dark blue all seems to match. It's a little roughed up from coming out of the molds and stuff. You can see some swirls, so not the best. As far as the actual application of making this figure goes. The articulation though is not bad at all. It's pretty good. You got your ab crunch. He can swivel side to side. Double jointed elbows. Ball joints for a shoulder. His head can go about that far back. If you want to arch the body back, you can get some decent range of motion out of it. He can go 360 around, a little bit side to side, but the helmet kind of hinders that. Wrists go 360, can bend, thigh swivel, double jointed knee, ankle pivot, and I can't tell if they're just really stuck because I was trying to mess with them earlier, or his ankles just don't go that far back, but they don't seem to bend very far down. I might heat them. Well, this one does, so the other one probably is just a little stuck. So I'll probably heat that and not screw it too much as to not break a peg, because I don't want to have to find this figure again or spend more money on it. Same thing as almost everything else I have bought in this wave. The accessories are either lacking or just non-existent. He does come with a Build-A-Figure piece, and I think he's a really cool figure, but the only accessory he comes with is this little dude right here, which is pretty cool, and I like him, and the sculpt on him is cool, and the fact that he's translucent with some nice paintwork on it is nice. But unfortunately, just like my complaint about Star-Lord, he doesn't have a hand to hold this little dude, or a blast effect, or any sort of hand to do anything but have a fist, which I know he will be fighting a lot and in flying poses, he'll be doing some of that kind of action and all that, but he definitely could have used some open palm hands, a blast hand, or something like that, just something to help make the figure a little more pleasing when you're doing toy photography and stuff like that. The face sculpt is cool. Overall, the figure's pretty cool. if you're not like a big fan of the character or anything like that, I wouldn't say you need to rush out and get this figure, because there's nothing outstanding about him or accessories that you could use. He has pretty basic articulation. The paintwork is not great, which normally is something I check for if there's multiples, but if I'm, like I mentioned in a Star-Lord review, if you're anything like me in the areas that are around, there's never a selection to choose from, or you're lucky if you even find one. So you might as well just grab it when you can. But yeah, overall, I thought I was really going to love this figure. I do like the figure because I do like the character, and I think I'll be able to do some really cool things with him, but between the swirls on the leg from being taken out of the cast, the rough paint jobs, the unmatching paint, the just absolute lack of any sort of accessory that makes him Nova, other than obviously his suit, I don't think he's like something I would say you have to run out and buy. If you like the figure, get him. If you're not a huge fan of the figure, then I could say you could pass on it unless you want to do the Build-A-Figure, in which case I would still say maybe just go on eBay and buy the piece. I like him. I'm still glad I got him, but if you want my honest opinion, he's not the greatest. He's a middle-of-the-road figure. So I will be back with some more reviews either tomorrow or the next day. I'm going to try and get them shot tonight and focus a little bit more on maybe like a value or point system, and get some measurements in there so you can really see. But I will get better as I go, and I appreciate the views and watching and checking anything out. So you can find me on Instagram. It's the same thing. It's Super Deathbot. Or leave comments below to help me out. Anything you'd like to see, I will try to do to help you decide if you want any of these collectibles I were reviewing. Thanks for checking out the video. See you next time.